We're rolling. We have no idea. We have so many things to talk about. We don't know what we're going to talk about.
But it's going to be a great conversation either way.
But John, Alex, it's great to have you, man.
Thanks, Sean.
Man,
Thank you. Appreciate
gentlemen.
you. Sir.
It's always good to see you. Always fun having you on the show. I'm not going to do introductions. Oh, John Sapp, technical features.
Alex Kreilein, Qualis.
Yes, there we go.
No.
We're going to talk about AppSec, development, AI, who knows what.
Cyber resilience.
Resilience is always fun. Doesn't mind. Let's go.
You know what? So me and Alex were having a conversation right before we came on, and we were talking about the concept of enabling the secure adoption of artificial intelligence. So not just the secure adoption, but the responsible use. And Alex had a great take on that. You want to share that, Alex?
Yeah, I'd like to I want to understand from my development teams. By the way, I should preface this with, there's probably a few people who are more enthusiastic about AI and what it can do for making products safe than us. I feel like we immediately had this comment, let's go, let's figure it out, right? But I think our main question, and it's the question that I bring to the table when we work in responsible AI at Qualis, is help me understand, why do you trust this thing? Where does that come from? Where does it come from, the idea that you're going to trust not just this one particular model, or that you're going to trust this output, or that you're going to trust this ML flow process, but where's this concept that we should just give it over to the machines come from, right? When we do failure mode analysis for site reliability engineering, when we do threat modeling for security,
we do so much.
Why is this
so many
different?
Other places,
why is this different?
It's fine here.
Yeah, so we ask our 4 questions, right? The Adam Shostak questions, what might go wrong? How bad would that be? What are we going to do about it? Did we do a good job? And I don't know, what's your confidence in how people are answering?
So, very, very low, and it's in part because, and I was using this analogy the other day. The horse has left. The horse is already outrunning the race.
Yeah.
The jockey is still sitting here going, wait a minute, where are we going? And so now we are the jockey trying to play catch up to this prized horse that's out there going to deliver all of this efficiency and all these things, right? And we're going to become these companies that are going to innovate and use AI in that innovation. And so part of the challenge with that is they are too trusting. It's kind of like the younger generation today. They trust everything, so there is no concept of zero trust in that regard. And I think we have to apply a zero trust mindset to this because no, we can't trust it. Yes, it does the great things. I can bake and crank out a new version of a resume really quick, or I can do all these really cool
Write
things.
a ton of code.
Right. Yeah.
High quality, really effective, optimized performing code that I don't necessarily know if I can trust, that respects my input validation rules, my sanitization rules.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why? Because the actual agent's going to rewrite itself.
Right. Yeah. And so you think about what you just said, Alex, and now I can create an attack just in the README file.
Yeah.
I don't even need code to actually create the attack.
Right.
Yeah.
So now what?
The personalization of the.
So we the past couple of years have all been about software supply chain, right? That's the big thing for the past 5-7 years.
Yeah.
Supply chain. Okay, this is the focus here we're going to have, and it's great because it brings to light, I think, a stark reality, which is this is code of unknown provenance, right? You got to check it in and treat it like your own. If you're going to take dependency on it, you're taking dependency on all of it, not just the benefits, but the distractions. It's hard enough to teach developers about basic attacks like typo squatting, right?
Sure.
So then, if that's hard, why do we think it's going to be easier to teach them about things like model impersonation or integrity-based attacks, right? Those are hard enough conversations, I think, to have without the pressure cooker. And, it's great to walk the showroom floor and find that everybody sprinkled some AI on some stuff. But, I think it's a question about, do we have the societal governance to take it seriously? Do we have the corporate governance to live up to the responsibility? And do we have the personal responsibility to interrogate our work for quality and what it's worth?
Yeah, and if I can tag one thing on there. So I did a session here at RSA in 2011 called Innovations in Application Security. Back then we were talking about...
A few days ago.
Yeah, a few days ago. We were talking about application security risk management. What are we talking about now? Managing risk. And back then there was a acronym that was used, SOUP, Software of Unknown Pedigree. And that's what Alex just...
Yeah.
It's even more relevant now than it was even back then, because back then we were talking about open source libraries and DLL files and that type of thing, right? But now we are talking about entire code being written by this AI thing, but now also the agent, this whole concept of the explosive agents.
Yeah.
I saw a stat the other day that there's been 30,000 new agents in the last 4 months.
That feels right. Feels low.
So you talk about managing risk. Our job has gotten exponentially more difficult.
But are you not on some level though optimistic? Like I am.
Yes, I am. No doubt about it.
I've got a huge amount of quick value and output, right? From like aligning my mental model thinking to get the AI to produce the output for me. Like, here's this thing that we want to build, right? Run a threat model against it. Give me a bunch of evil user stories. Tell me the technical controls I need. Give me the security user stories and acceptance criteria. And better yet, if you can build me a detection or at least some kind of logic that helps inform what a detection might look like, that's going to help my SOC. It's going to help my developers. It's going to refocus our time to things that maybe are more meaningful, right? Like, I'm tired of asking my developers to just chase CVEs. Like, I want them to invest the time in like security architecture reviews. I want them to invest the time in like fault analysis and cyber resiliency, your favorite topic.
Exactly.
And I can't do that if I'm asking them to chase things that are not exposure based, right? Forget that there's a CVE. Is it a true positive? Is it applicable? Is it exploitable? Is it internet facing? Is there a compensating control? Because if not, and we got Gary Hayslip outside and just cranking on us.
And Larry Weiss.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, if it's not, then like I would rather recuperate that time for my developer and have them put it to something that may be higher use.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about this resilience piece because we're talking about environments that, even if they were static, have so much in them.
Absolutely.
And they're not static; they're dynamic, and I'm going to say they're hyper dynamic with AI.
Okay.
So how do we get a handle on that? It's going to have to be some form of automation and perhaps the use of AI. And
we're going to have to use AI to figure out how to manage the risk associated with AI. Because
is that scenario you described, Alex? Is that
is
that a manual thing that you're?
No, I've been working on building an agentic approach to training a model to deliver that as an output for me, which is helpful, but also I treat it like an intern, which is like, I respect the intern. I'm going to value the intern, but I don't trust the intern, right? I think the resiliency piece, look, there might be something that like a hot take on, application security for just a second. I'm not sure it's really the problem that we think it is. I feel like it's a symptom of another problem. Just like most of the time, developers build applications without the need to be able to take change. So what happens when they don't? You build an application that can't take change. So now you have a hard time patching its dependencies because everything is a major version change, right? Why? Because you don't do testing. You don't do unit testing. You don't do integration testing. What's the result of that? The result of that is a lot of vulnerability debt. But it's a symptom of something else, which is that they're not using test-driven development. They're not using quality management systems. So how can we make something resilient that can't actually take change when we need it to? So, I think we're maybe focusing on the wrong problem by like 10%.
Well, my question back onto that is, do we need to redefine what resilience is?
Well, to me, resilience is really simple. It's the ability to respond and recover, because you're expecting something is going to happen. Whether it's a cybersecurity attack or some technology outage, it's going to happen. And its resilience is, what's my ability to respond and recover within my tolerance from a risk standpoint. But if I can tack on to something of what Alex was just saying, in that, how do we get to some of that resilience, is threat modeling. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier. And one of the things that I'm doing in our organization, as we are in this modernization effort, this transformation, digital transformation to the cloud, into a private cloud environment, it becomes, okay, well, we're going to threat model that. But what we are doing different is we're taking the threat model and doing penetration testing in the middle, in unit testing. So now I don't achieve that. I don't end up with that vulnerability debt. So now, because AI, we could find ourselves and JP Morgan Chase's CTO said the other day in their open letter, is that we're taking on AI security debt at a pace faster than we can pay it down. And so this is one way we can stop that debt up front by threat modeling, and then taking that threat model based on this application and everything we know about it, what it's expected to do and how it could be abused, and be able to take that and pen test in unit testing.
Totally.
That way, we're achieving what we started off way back when in terms of a secure SDLC.
So how do we change that environment, though? Because people have heard this now a few times from the conference. Me say that I was at a legal conference where lawyers are writing code.
Yeah.
Through vibe coding and LLMs.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
Right?
That's a horrible idea.
Right?
Okay,
but end users are writing code
yeah.
to do things they need to do that they can't get their development teams to do, but it's part of the business.
I have this belief that there are like two missing partners for most security teams that they really, really need to spend more time sharing love and appreciation with. Quality assurance, site reliability engineering.
Sure.
Security is a aspect of quality management. I don't think anybody really disagrees that you can't have a high quality application that's not secure or vice versa.
Right.
The diff here is if we work hand in hand with quality assurance to coach them on how to build like test cases for security, leveraging like OWASP ASVS or other standards where it's like, hey, if you're going to change a parameter of a token, here's your test case to make sure you did it so that you're not creating a race condition, right? Or if you're going to change this API, here are your series of test cases, right? If we can empower our partners in QA to be 10% more security curious, I think we're going to have a great outcome. And if we leverage like the great data we get out of like application security performance management or application performance management tools like Datadog and App Dynamics and New Relic and a bunch of others, we'll figure out, well, what really is the exposure, right? We'll have a good map.
Sure.
But we can't work alone. And that's what I think too many people in security do. They try and nug out the solve without understanding that it's part of an ecosystem, man.
So I'm going to add, you look at it from a certain perspective.
Maybe right or wrong, yeah.
you look at it from a different perspective.
I do.
You have to answer. You have to drive a team to deliver secure stuff. You have to report to, or work with your peers at the executive leadership team, report to the board.
Right.
Which you have to get buy-in. This stuff's already happening. How do we drive from here
for
to
me,
there?
the concept is being able to manage up, down, and across.
Right.
You know, up to the C-suite and the board, making sure that they have visibility into, and that's when I talk about cyber risk governance, I'm giving visibility to them at their level. Now, that's visibility into what's happening down at the technical level.
Yeah.
Are we focused on the right vulnerabilities or the threats? And that's why the threat modeling is very important. So that whatever we deliver, it's a quality application that's delivered with value, but that we're remediating the right vulnerabilities that are going to move the needle up at the top. So let's just use a car, for example. You know, you've got the gauges on the dashboard, right? You've got one for oil, one for your temperature, one for your gas. Well, would you be comfortable that, okay, now all of a sudden your gas needle shows that you're running out of gas, so you're below a quarter of a tank, but the mechanic is back there, instead of making sure you got gas in your car, he's worried about changing your oil, which it just changed a week ago.
Totally.
The wrong actions and the wrong thing are moving the wrong needle.
Yeah, that's right.
So kind of thinking about it that way and making sure that there's traceability up, down, and across the stack, because those folks at the top are being reported to by those people in the middle across the organization. And so whether I am and I'll use insurance, if I'm I lead the underwriting function, and there is a vulnerability that is an active exploit that threat intelligence says that, you know, we are being targeted, and now I'm going to disrupt this company's business, and we do nothing about it. Instead, we worry about what some scanner told us was the critical. Well, critical without context doesn't matter, because a medium can actually be more critical to my business than that critical rating.
You're explaining the difference between vulnerabilities and risk very artfully, because it's about exposure management, right?
Exactly.
It's not just about my CVSS score drove me to this outcome. Like, that's not a mature way of thinking. Putting things in context is our job. That's the art of security. At least it should be.
Yeah, I think we're going to take this show on the road somewhere.
That's right.
I'm actually going to say that we're going to wrap here because we've run out of time.
Yeah,
sadly.
but we're all going to the after party, right?
Going to the after
Yeah,
party.
exactly.
Delight.
And
AI Village,
I
baby.
seriously would like to have this conversation deeper. So maybe we can line that up.
Sold.
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's do it.
Glad to see you,
John,
Sean.
Alex, pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. ITSPmagazine.com/RSAC25. Stay tuned to all our coverage.